Alright, today we are doing simplifying square roots. As you can see, there's no note, so I'm going to start from the worksheet. So I'm going to do a couple together, and then I want you to do the rest. As you can see, if you scroll down, there's 20 questions, but it's not that bad. We've done simplifying radicals before. This is going to bring back memories, okay? When we have the square root of 108, remember, we would do in the calculator, we do menu 2, 3. We're finding the factors of 108. We get something along the lines of 2 squared times 3 to the third. Then we wrote it out, 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. Remember this? Should look familiar. Good times, okay? Then from here, because we're doing square root, we're looking for pairs. Remember when I used to ask pairs, trios, quadruplets, something like that? Because it's square root, and think about it, the entire worksheet when we're simplifying square roots is squares, so we're going to look for partners, okay? So if we were to just do 108, we would do this pair of 2 and this pair of 3. We would move them outside because they have enough partners to move outside, and we'd be left with 2 times 3, and then that square root, this 3 stays. 2 times 3 is 6, so 6 square root 3. That's how we factor, or that's how we simplify the square root of 108. But there are also letters involved, so I'm going to show you from the beginning. Okay, so we have the square root of 108 times a to the fourth times b to the second. Again, in your TI Inspire, if you do menu 2, 3, again, I'll write it out, menu 2, 3, then you type in 108. Then it's going to give you something, or not something, but it's going to give you 2 squared times 3, or 3 to the third. Okay, this is how you're going to write everything out. Remember, it's going to be under the radical, and then I told you to write everything out. Watch this. I'm going to write really long. So it's going to be 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. But we're not done here. Let's write out those a's and b's. We have a to the fourth, so 4 a's. Times a, oops, that's an a, times a, and then times b, and times b. Now, because it's square root, we're looking for partners to see if you can move outside. So if you have a partner, you can move out. You can leave. This right there, this A with that A, that A with that A, and that B with that B. So there's a lot of partners. They all get to move out. Watch this. The 2 moves out here. The 3 moves out here, times 3. This A moves out here, times A. This A moves out here, times A. And finally, this B moves out here, times B. All that gets to be out there. This 3 does not go away. It's part of the answer, okay? Watch what I'm about to write. 2 times 3 is 6, times A is 6A, times A is 6A squared, times B is 6A squared times B. So on the outside, I'm going to write it down here. We're still doing number 1. Is 6A squared B. And then on the inside was that one little 3 right here that didn't have that partner. And that is how you simplify square root. It shouldn't be that bad. It's the stuff we've been doing. There's just letters involved this time, okay? And luckily, fortunately for simplifying square roots, we know we're always going to be looking for pairs. So it's not as hard as you got to think. Pairs, trios, quadruplets, fifths, sixths, none of that, okay? It's all going to be pairs. Tomorrow, we're doing cube roots. So what do you think it's going to be? We're going to look for trios, okay? But that's how you do number 1. You do menu 2, 3, type in 108 to see what the factors are. It's 2 squared times 3 cubed. Then you write it out. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. And then write out the A's and the B's. Times A 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. And times B twice. Then we find pairs. Every pair you find, they get to move out. All right? Shouldn't be too bad. All right, I'm going to do, let's see about time. The bell's about to ring. So I'll do number 2, and then if I have time, I'll do number 3, and we're done, okay? You'll do the rest on your own. It really shouldn't be that bad. Again, in the calculator, do menu Menu 2, 3, and then our factor, we're going to type in just the number, 192. We don't need to do A or B, because we can figure that out later. So when you do 192, you get 2 to the 6th times 3. Okay, now let's write it out with with the numbers and the letters. I'm going to start here. So it's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's 6, and then times 3. Then times A times A times A times A times B times B times B and times B. Okay, see how long that is? Because remember, there's 4 A's, 4 B's, and then 192 is 2 to the 6th times 3. So again, we are looking for pairs. There's one pair, there's another pair, there's another. That 3 does not have a partner. He can't go anywhere. This A has a partner, this A has a partner, this B has partners, and that B. So we see that 3 is stuck there, but everything else gets to leave. So leave, there's 1, 2, leave, there's a second 2, leave, there's a third 2, and then A times A times A, and then B and B times B times B. All right? So let's just simplify all that. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So on the outside we have 8. And then there's 2a, so a squared. Don't write 2a. It's a squared because it's a times a. So a squared, and then b times b is b squared. All right, and what's left over is this under the square root is square root 3. And that is the simplest form. All right, shouldn't be too bad. I'll do one more. I think I have time. I do. So one more. We'll do that 245xy because it'll show you what to do when there's only one x and only one y. So again, in the calculator, I'm doing it as well. When menu 2, 3, type in 245. This is what we get. We get 5 times 7 squared. Okay. So we're going to write all of that out. 5 times 7 times 7 times x times y. That's it, because there's only one x and there's only one y, sorry. Here we're looking for pairs. Remember, we're always looking for pairs when we're doing square root. Tomorrow we'll look for trios because they're cube roots. Okay? This is the only pair. Does this 5 have a partner? No. Does the x have a partner? No. Does the y? Nope. So the 7 gets to leave. Everything else stays. So on the outside is 7, square root 5xy, and we're done. That one was actually pretty simple. Okay, that is how you do them all. I suppose I'll do one more. Let's finish with number 4. Factor. We go to menu 2, 3, 147. We have square root of 3 times 7 squared, or let's write all of that out with the x and y's. 3 times 7 times 7 times x times 4y. So y, and y. Now from here we're finding pairs. This 3, it doesn't have a partner. This 7 does. The x does not. The y does, and the y does. So these 3 get to leave. And we're left with, on the outside, 7 times y, and then square root of 3 times x. Or if we wanted to simplify all that, it would be 7y squared, and then square root of 3x. And we're done. All right, finish the other 16, turn them in. It shouldn't be that bad. Rewatch the video if you need to.